Welcome back to your weekly editorial analysis with the audio and visual both working. Please confirm that you can see and hear me. As you know, the editorial analysis is from a linguistic point of view. We're going to read each slide for 40 seconds, understand what is in the slide, and then we are going to analyze it. Today, I have picked up an editorial from the Indian Express. Hello Tina, hello Virendra, hello Tarun. Let's start because I have to finish by 1 o'clock. At 1 you have a session with Gaurav. Alright, 40 seconds. Please read this slide in 40 seconds and then I'll summarize it with you. Alright, let's start. It's afternoon. Good afternoon. Yes. Are you done with the first slide? Are you done with the first slide? Yes. All right. When he addressed the joint session, obviously no prizes for guessing. This is about the Prime Minister's visit to the United States. The editorial is positive in tone. When he addressed the joint session of the US Congress 7 years ago this month, 7 years back, the Prime Minister had gone to the US and he had addressed the US Congress. That time he had declared that India had ended its historic hesitations in dealing with the United States. Modi's claim had credibility. Why did it have credibility? Because he had a record of improving relations with the US. So what's the first paragraph all about? That Prime Minister Modi has worked to improve Indo-US relations. Done? All right. Next slide. It's not yet evening, sir. It's afternoon. Next slide. This is shorter, so I'll give you 30 seconds to read this. Start. Done? Whoever reads first, I'm going to start. All right. Now, what has he done? So, in the first paragraph, he said that Indo-US relations have improved, right? Second paragraph, he has given us examples of how Indo-US relations have improved, at least from the US side point of view. US prevented Pakistan and China from taking up the Kashmir question in the United Nations. You know that Pakistan wants to bring it up and India says it's a bilateral issue, it's not a multilateral issue. So you don't need to go to an international forum for it. It's between you and me. Why involve the rest of the world? And the US stopped Pakistan and China from raising this issue in the United Nations. Second, you remember the Ladakh incident where China had encroached on Indian territory. That time the US ensured that it stepped in to assist India in overcoming the China threat. Alright, so done. Next. Again 20 seconds. Quickly read and summarize. Done? So next, what does he say? He says US has helped, US has gone ahead, proactively helped India, but Despite these welcome steps, the Indian security establishment remained hesitant in opening the doors for wider defense cooperation. If your general knowledge is good, you will realize why India did that. But then we'll not go into that. Although successive presidents from George Bush onwards were enthusiastic about a new partnership with India, bureaucratic obstacles persisted. India was hesitant, so there were a lot of hurdles, especially bureaucratic hurdles. The story of Modi's visit to Washington this week was about overcoming these hurdles. So whatever issues India had in opening the doors for wider defense cooperation, these hurdles, these obstacles, during Modi's visit, they smoothed it out. So these obstacles were rather removed. The two governments, and as a result, what happened? The two governments announced a range of ambitious new agreements, including transfer of advanced technologies, defense cooperation, clean energy, climate change, and a new rule-based order. These are all the things on which they signed an agreement. Clear? 20 seconds. Read the next slide and summarize it in your own words. Rephrase it. Done. So what did Modi say? He addressed the US Congress and he says we stand at a new dawn in our relationship now. We going on a different path, a new path altogether. Now the authors comment here, it is tempting to conclude that the shared challenge, India sees China as a threat, now US also sees China as a threat. So the shared challenge of China must have brought these two countries together. Of course, this is true in terms of the defense cooperation, that defense agreements that they signed. That's what the author is saying. So while many would conclude that India and US have come together, they're bonded because of the shared China threat, which is partly true because of their defense cooperation. Next paragraph, what's the author saying? Read in 40 seconds and tell me. Suppleness. Supple means grace. Okay, suppleness means grace or doing something easily. All right, all right. But he says you're tempted to think China is the real reason. Defense deals, yes, China factor is important, but there is a larger need that binds our two nations together, and he has told us what is that. Economic reasons, we need to reboot our national economies, especially after COVID. Economic globalization, things have to change on that front. Then also restructure the energy and economy relationship. Earlier, economy was given importance, doesn't matter what energy you use. Now, because of climate change, we have to make sure that there is green energy that is used, should not be too expensive, lot of other things. Fulfilling this ambitious bilateral agenda with regional and global consequences, it doesn't just involve, this is the bilateral agenda, the agenda between India and the US. But the repercussions, the result, the consequences of this bilateral agenda is global. It's regional. It will affect China, it will affect Pakistan, it will affect Sri Lanka, it will affect the whole world because it involves the US. It will affect Asia because it involves India. So it needs a lot of tact and agility and creativity in terms of India policymakers and Indian establishment. Clear? Now, when you read it like this, isn't it easier to remember the entire passage? Summarize the passage with me. First paragraph. In CAT, they give you a question. What is the flow of ideas of the passage? Easy. India-US relations have improved under the Modi government. Second paragraph, 2 examples of how US helped India in the recent past. Third, despite this, India is a little hesitant. Fourth, Modi's present visit was aimed at removing this hesitancy, removing the hurdles to better cooperation. 5, you think China is the main reason? China isn't. Have other reasons, economic reasons, energy, trade, other reasons for which they have come together. Clear? Easy? All right, answer the first question. Which one of the following sets of terms best represents the flow of ideas of the passage? Now, in the exam, I would allow you to go back to the passage. I would advise you to go back to the passage, quickly read through it and remember or jot down the main idea of each of the paragraphs. You've read it with me, I've summarized it with you. It's a short paragraph, we will not do that. Quickly tell me which one has the correct flow of ideas, the main thought of the first paragraph, followed by the second, followed by the third, or a summing up of all. What is the right answer? Okay. First answer has come in C. Quickly. Next, I want to see the answers. There are more students than one in this session. Either B or C. ये 50-50 option नहीं है आपके लिए. एक ही answer दीजिए. Either B or C, give me one. If you mark B and C, your answer will not be counted. Tarun also thinks it's C. All right. Mahendru, Divij says it's B. All right. So you're saying either B or C. Amitabh Bachchan in Kaun Banega Karodpati, Computer G would have removed A and D. All right. Now, let's look at C. Indian PM's US visit. Did he immediately talk of defense deals? Is the second paragraph about defense deals? No. Is the second paragraph about the China hurdle? Then B is the right one. Indo-US ties have improved under Modi. That part is not the main point. Indo-US ties. The state has been given in the passage. It is B. US support of India. Second paragraph. The 2 instances. Ladakh and United Nations. Hurdles in the defense deals has been removed by Modi's present or the visit, the recent visit. Crucial agreements were signed and they share larger common imperatives in addition to China. So larger common imperatives takes everything into account. Okay, Balaji thinks it's A, improvement in Indo-US relations. Yes, where has he talked about a US-China face-off? Means face-off happened, India-China face-off happened in Ladakh during COVID. But US-China face-off, this is wrong. So second option is, second of the terms is wrong there. So it's not A. So the correct answer, as many of you pointed out, is B. Alright. Balaji, know now why A is wrong. US-China standoff has not been mentioned, is not there. They see it as a common challenge, he said. Alright. Why does the author mention Kashmir and Ladakh? This is called a logical structure question. Why is a passage given? Why is an example given? Right? So what is the purpose of the example of China and Ladakh, of Kashmir and Ladakh? To highlight, to illustrate, to emphasize, to argue, what is the reason? Quickly tell me. To highlight the threats India faces from its neighbors, to illustrate the 2 main hurdles in improving Indo-US relations, to emphasize 2, this has to be 2, sorry. to emphasize how the US supported India in the past, or to argue that the Indo-US relations are tenuous at best? Quickly, what is the answer for T, for 2? Give me the question number when you answer, okay? Virendra, I think the answer started. Jaima, Kali, whatever is your name, you can't give me 2 options, A or C. नहीं होगा, एक ही आंसर दीजिए. C, all right. To highlight the threat India faces from its neighbors, they have not talked of the threat. They talked of the China challenge. So A is not correct. To illustrate the main hurdles, and it cannot be, the first one cannot be. To illustrate the main hurdles in improving Indo-US relations, it's not a hurdle in Indo-US relations. US helped India in these 2 cases. To show US support, that is correct. 2 answer is C. Tenuous का meaning पता है तो Pratyusha you would not have, not Pratyusha, sorry, Vedant, you wouldn't argue D. Tenuous means very thin, fragile. Tenuous thread means very thin and delicate. So here the passage is saying US-India relations are improving, getting stronger. And you are saying he is given this to show US support of India. You are saying to show that the relations are on the verge of breaking. Tenuous means that, when something is very thin and delicate. All right, got it? All right, question 3. Which of the following conclusions can be drawn from the last paragraph of the passage? Let's go back to the last paragraph of the passage. Yes, help in the Kashmir matter, that's true. Go back to the last paragraph of the passage because he's asking us to summarize the last paragraph. So quickly go through the last paragraph. The last paragraph talks about the larger imperative that binds the 2 nations. They need to reboot their national economies. They need to look at a new framework of economic globalization. They need to restructure the traditional relationship between energy and economy. Both nations have these issues. These are more important than even the China threat. Therefore, these ambitious bilateral, this are the points of their ambitious bilateral agenda. This is more important than what was given. That is what he says. So what can you infer from it or conclude? Yeah. Which of the conclusions can be drawn from the last paragraph? Given these facts, you have to put all the facts together and draw your own conclusion. There is a serious downturn in the economies of both nations. He has talked about restructuring economy. Could it be A? The present framework of economic globalization is skewed in favor of the US. Both nations are facing an economic and energy crisis. This also has been mentioned. Or both nations are united by economic development and globalization challenges. Since the author says these are the larger need, both nations have these challenges. That means these challenges are common to both. I showed you the answer like a fool. But yeah, that is the answer. So the correct answer is D. All right. What can you infer about the Prime Minister's visit to the US? The author has said a lot of things about his visit to the US. Put all those facts together and say which of the options is the right inference. Please write the question number, all right? Remember, an inference is not a guess. You can't say something because there's a particular word used in the passage, right? Historic hesitancies has been used. Hurdles in Indo-US relations has been used. Modi said it will shape the destiny of India and the US. We are at the dawn of a new relationship. Can you really infer this will happen based on those statements? Is that the right answer? It was a diplomatic coup for India. It was unexpected, and suddenly India pulled off something like a rabbit from a hat. Now, historic hesitancies, many of you said it's historic hesitancies. What is the, please read the first paragraph. When he addressed the joint session of the US Congress 7 years ago, the Prime Minister had declared that India had ended its historic hesitations in dealing with the United States. That time, 7 years ago, Modi said India had ended its historic hesitancy. And then he proved his point by improving relations during his term. So this particular visit was not meant to end historic hesitancies. That is about the last visit. So A is wrong. You understand? Okay, what was the next one you said? They stand at the dawn of a new stand at a dawn in our relationship that will not only. So we are right now standing that will do it. He is saying our relationship has taken a new turn, a fresh beginning. And this closeness of India and the US has the potential to affect the whole world. Now that doesn't mean that this particular visit was aimed at doing that. Which question? I should not give you the answer. Okay, fourth, I think. Yeah, so it was intended to end historic hesitancies. That was the previous one. Okay, the agreements will shape the destiny of the world. It's only bilateral. And Modi said our closeness has the potential to do it. So C is also wrong. Diplomatic coup is a very, see, whenever you have options which are extremely worded, how do you know it is a body blow to US-China relations? How do you know that? The biggest problem US and China are having is that earlier US has given a lot of leeway to China in terms of trade and all, and now it's trying to pull it back. So D is extreme, but B can be removed. He said the present visit is aimed. The present visit is aimed at removing the hurdles. Those hurdles which were put up by India. Alright, so the correct answer is B. Alright, Hrithik, you missed a bit of the class. It started at 12:15. They must have notified it. Doesn't matter. Attend from now and then go back and watch it. Alright. Option A, abhi pata chala na, Gautam, you didn't read the first para properly. So when you are not sure, please go back to the passage and confirm. Was the see, because you are confused between A and B. You know A has been mentioned in paragraph A. So go back to paragraph A, read paragraph A. Go back to the part where he told Modi's agreements. This visit was aimed to remove those hurdles. So clearly it has been given. All right. Okay. Now, this is an other management entrance exam questions looks like this, especially IIFT. There is a word in the passage which has been used. You are supposed to hunt that word. Which word in the passage shows that the author believes that the Prime Minister's claim on the Indo-US relations was substantiated? What was the Prime Minister's claim? Succeeded? Which one? Yeah, to remove the hurdles. They removed the hurdles because the agreements were signed. Till now, no agreements were signed. In this visit, agreements were signed. So that means defense deals were signed. That means the hurdles to signing defense deals were gone. Right? So what was the Prime Minister's claim? The Prime Minister's claim was that India had ended its historic hesitancies in forging a closer bond with the US. Which one shows that the author believes he did? Credibility. His claim had some credibility. On what basis? Because he has consistently worked to improve relations. And in fact, he got along well with even President Trump. So the answer is former president. Yeah, A. Good. Which of the following is a synonym of ingress as used in the passage? The passage used the word ingress in which statement, which paragraph? China's ingress, right, in Ladakh. That's the word. So what do you think is the meaning of ingress? Question 6. He used the word here when he talks about China and Ladakh. Okay, let's just take you back. Second paragraph here. When China surprised India with its military ingress in eastern Ladakh, one side COVID, one side China's military ingress. So what do you think the word ingress means? Let me not show you the answer. Let me be very careful. It's not question 3. It's not question 4. It's not 5. Yes. What do you think it means? Okay. Gress, G-R-E-S-S, the root word gress means step. Then what is the answer? Overstepping. Overstepping area of authority. Indian territory, China has come into India's territory. So what would it mean? Not overstepping area of authority. The act of entering into India's territory. Ingress, step in. Okay, overstep nahi hoga. Overstepping area of authority. If I have to only if a chief minister can only rule over his state. Now, if he starts interfering in another state, that is overstepping his area of authority. All right, understood? So, gress means step, ingress, step in, egress, E-G-R-E-S, step out. Clear, everyone? All right. Answer is A. अरे homework, classwork क्या है? All right. Which of the following is the author implying in the lines? It is tempting to conclude that the shared challenge from China drove India and the US to a new juncture. It is tempting to conclude this. When he is saying this, what is he suggesting? That means he has not said it openly. You have to understand what is he trying to say. What is the answer? China is the main reason for the close Indo-US ties. Indo-US ties, this S has to be capital, are not as strong as we are tempted to conclude. We are often tempted to blame China for the improvement or deterioration of ties. There are other more important reasons that bind India and the US together. I already got my answer from Tina. She thinks it's 7D. Do others agree with that? Is D the right answer? Do you think Tina is right? She answered very quickly before I finished reading the answer options. Gautam also feels it's D. Any other answer? Rohit thinks it's D. It's tempting, but it's not correct. It's tempting to say it is this. No. The tempting part, we are often tempted to blame China. It says he's saying it's tempting to think of China as the main reason, but the next paragraph says there are other reasons. Okay? Therefore, the correct answer is D. Too much reading nahi hoga if you know the answer. It's tempting to say this. That means it may look the best thing, but it is not. Then you look at the option which means that. Clear? If you have the answer beforehand, the options which are long will not confuse you. He didn't mean it in that context. He didn't say, oh, we are always tempted to blame China, but here China is not to blame. That's not what he said. He said India and US face the common China threat. So it is most logical and tempting. You often say, that is why they come close together. Enemies are friends, right? But he says there are other reasons too. He says it in the next paragraph. So when he says it is tempting, he's saying it's actually not the reason. Of course, you may think this is the reason, but that is not the reason, is what he says in the paragraph. So when you read it, you know what he meant. He didn't mean that China is the favorite punching bag for everybody. He didn't mean it in that sense. He says China is thought, perceived as the main reason, but it is not the main reason. Understood? All right, next one. Which of the following is not a synonym of imperative? Not a synonym of imperative. Urgent, essential, optional, crucial. Which is not a synonym of imperative means it is imperative that you do it. It's important. It's urgent. All right. So urgent, essential, and crucial are the synonyms of imperative. Therefore, C, optional, is not. Excellent. All right. When you say you are at a new dawn, what does the expression new dawn mean? The Prime Minister used it to describe Indo-US relations at present. So what do you think he meant? The origin, an early start, a fresh start, or not a bright start? What do you think he meant? Origin to source ho gaya. Origin means source. Cannot be origin. Indo-US relations had started long back. So new dawn doesn't mean the main origin. So it means a fresh beginning, a new beginning. All right. So correct answer is C. All right. Are you ready for the grammar question of the day? This is the sentence that is given in the passage. I don't know if it was there originally in this form or did I change it. I don't know, or maybe the Indian Express had a mistake in grammar. I don't know. I have given you the sentence and I'm asking you, do you think the underlined part is correct? There's a phrase there. The US stepped in to assist India in coping with the challenge by providing equipment and intelligence. When China attacked Ladakh, the US stepped in to help India in coping with, this is the expression that is given, the challenge, the China challenge. Question is, can this be improved? Can you choose an option which improves and makes the sentence correct if it is wrong? If it is not, you choose A because A is a repetition of the sentence as it is, or do you think it is B, C, D? Motivational World thinks it's B, Virendra thinks it's D, Gautam, C. All right. Any other answer? Any other answer from anybody? All right. This is where our Indian English comes in. You know, we have devised our own English which may not be correct grammatically, right? You hear a lot of people saying myself is galat. You say I will pray God, wrong. I will suggest you something, wrong. Same way, cope up with is wrong. This sentence is correct as it is. The person who wrote this, I'm assuming is the editor of Indian Express, but one doesn't know. There was nothing wrong with his English. In coping with the challenge is correct. We get confused between cope up and keep up and we make it cope up. Okay? So cope with is correct. Cope doesn't need to be, you don't need to prop an up next to cope. Alright? So coping with a challenge is correct. It's not coping up with. It is not to cope up with or cope up to. Ma'am, please speak slowly. We can't cope with your pace. Understood? Not cope up, not keep up. Clear? Understood everyone? So you've learned a very important word which is often asked in prepositional usage. It's part of the most common error made by students. Alright, cope up is wrong English. Divij. Cope up is wrong. Keep up is correct. If I walk very fast and you're following me, you say, can you walk slower? I can't keep up with your pace. But never say cope up. We say it. In spoken English, we all say it, but that's wrong. Option C is wrong. Hrithik, there's nothing to be confused about. Please look up the entry of cope in the dictionary. Please, once the class is over, you open the dictionary, go to the word cope and see sentences. It's always coping with, not coping up with. And CAT has used this in the early 2000s. CAT had grammar questions. End of 1990s, it had CAT questions. Cope has been asked every second year. Cope up, not cope up. IIFT, ZAT, so a lot of cope up and coping up is wrong. Just cope with. No up, motivational world. Cope ke bad, to cope with, in coping. To cope with is correct. Okay, in coping with is correct. These are wrong because of the use of up. No up is needed after cope. Whenever you see the word cope, it's a complete word in itself. Do not use an up after it. Understood? Motivational world, understood? No confusion. It is not coping up or cope up. Only cope up, only cope is correct. Coping is correct. But no up after it. The mistake is in the use of the word up after, in the use of the preposition up after it. Clear? Alright. I hope you've enjoyed the session. I had to do it a little quickly. There were a lot more grammar questions that I would have picked up. Alright. Why do you want to use wrong English in your, see, your daily usage becomes what you write. What you think is correct is what you will write. So when you when you know it is wrong, do not use it. Understood? Okay guys, quickly use your free trial. Join our CAT group if you haven't yet. Joined any of our paid session students. These are the students who joined our course last year, did very well. There are many more. We had only place to put 5 pictures there. All right, sometime in November. CAT 2023 new batches are on. Free trial is on. Take the free trial. And please, if you are intending to take a course, I hope you are, join, register for the scholarship test, take the scholarship test for a fee waiver. Your scholarship depends on the score that you get. The higher the score, the higher is your scholarship. And its registrations are open every month. My favorite teacher, Saral, will teach you why is it important to start CAT prep now. All right, do join the workshop. True, Ritik. There is no up after that, man. That's what I'm saying. There is no up after cope. It's just cope, not cope up. All right? Join any or all of our social media channels. All right? I will see you very soon, next Tuesday at the same time, and this time with no glitches. All right? It happens in the best of places. In our studio, everything was set. Suddenly sound didn't work, so we had our senior technicians come and fix it in no time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for attending. I will see you again next Tuesday. And until then, keep reading. All right, the more you read, the better you get. Bye-bye. See.